Hey everybody, I have here the LEGO City Harvester Transport set. Now at first glance, this looks to me like it is going to be worth its retail price. However, let me take a closer look at its components, see if that holds up. The semi-truck is a cab-over unit with a unique front end. I personally, just immediately on first glance, feel that this front end looks weird, but I absolutely applaud the designer for not only trying but doing something different. It's a little bit difficult to get something that really looks unique with the 6-wide build style with just standard LEGO techniques, stuff that can be put into something like a LEGO City set. But this is definitely quite different. I'm not sure if I actually realized previously, I know plenty of people have, but I don't know if I realized previously that you could create this shape here with these different pieces. So this is the 1x2 by 2/3, like a wedged slope piece, and you've got a couple of them in black here, a couple of them in dark gray here, so they have that continuous line as viewed from the front. You know, it makes for an interesting shape, and that just nestles up very nicely against the 5-sided tile here. And then they've just got representations of some modern headlights on the sides. Yeah, it's different. It's not bad. It's just a little bit awkward to me. I think maybe if the black section, which is, I'm assuming represents grill for air intake, if that was back a plate, so if that was inset a bit, I think maybe that would look a little bit better. Other than that, you got a little light bar up on top, sticker up there, a few stickers used on the front. I'm not too crazy about those, but you can certainly leave those off if you want. It does have 2 doors that can be actually opened. A lot of people like those, even though you cannot actually get a figure out through there. It's still nice to have it, and the door handle detail is always nice to have. And that's pretty much it. It's very simple around the back. They do have an offset seating position for the driver, which is good, and there's an all-important coffee mug included in the set, therefore it is perfect. I want to talk about the trailer before I get into the Harvester, but you kind of need to look at the two of them together because they are really integrated quite closely. First of all, it's a low boy style that's fully built up, so they're not using one of the pre-built large trailer pieces. It's always nicer to build something, especially if it looks good and works well. You get a couple of ramp, just narrow ramp pieces that come down here, and you can't just immediately roll the Harvester off. It's actually slightly connected there, so it won't roll back and forth very easily. They put a couple of clips into a ratcheted, a pair of ratcheted hinges, so it's not a hard connection. It's a soft connection, but it works well enough and holds this in place well enough. As for getting this to actually roll down the ramp, well, it's not getting caught up, it's not getting caught up, it's not getting caught up, and there it goes. Nice and smooth right down there. A lot of trailers in the past from LEGO have had an issue of basically whatever is designed to go on it getting high center, getting stuck. That doesn't happen here. I like that. I think that's good for play. And then this here is just the connection point for the header, the actual cutting head. They don't really make it easy for you to transfer this directly to the machine. It's just clipped in there. You have to use the hand the hand of the omnipotent huge fig to really make this work properly. There is a connection on the back here that you could potentially use alternately, but I don't know just how that's going to work. You would really need to take the ramps off. You can see it's designed the same way. I don't know exactly how that's supposed to work, but you have secure storage for this. You just don't have a good way to connect it without breaking the fantasy a little bit. Assembling the Harvester now just involves clicking the cutting head in. It has an adjustable angle up and down, so it doesn't need to be exactly on the ground, or you can get it all the way onto the ground, and then just fold the side cutters down. And if you're on a good enough surface, you might be able to see some of those gears, some of those cutting heads, individual cutters moving around a little bit. In this case, it's not really working, but they're a little bit loose, so they're able to follow the surface a little bit. But this looks really good. This is the style of head that is typically used, well, it's most commonly used from what I've seen for harvesting corn for feed, where they will actually cut it, shred it up completely, and just send it off into a hopper. Lego really needs to, hopefully they'll do this, they need to make now a new tractor, just a regular farm tractor with maybe one basic accessory, and then a nice hopper style trailer to go along beside this, because you've got the chute here that can rotate around, and that looks really nice. That looks pretty perfect actually for the scale. It doesn't have a great reach. I wish it was just a little bit longer, but it is pretty proportional when you look at this by itself. I think that if you were to try to play with something with a trailer by the side, it would get a little bit cramped, because you probably need to bring it all the way out. Let's see. The maximum extension just goes a little bit beyond, was that an inch? Less than an inch beyond the edge here. So it'll work. Ideally you want this up a little bit. That's even less. Now just a little bit more extension would have been more practical. We'll have to see if they actually come out with something else though. But this looks really good. I like the distribution of colors on it. It looks modern, but not like it's trying too hard. There are some bits of classic feel to it. The color scheme I think is pretty perfect. The stickers on this one I actually really like. There aren't too many of them, but they're appropriate. Again, it's a situation where you can easily leave them off if any of them are things that you don't like. There are enough colors that are really brought into this to form detail with just the colors of the pieces. So that's always a good foundation, not relying upon stickers to provide necessary detail, important detail. Yeah, it can just be lifted up like that, and you have really easy access to the operator's cab. Now, the cab is very simple, but look, there's just a steering wheel there. All this comes off together very easily. It's attached with just these two studs here on the rear window. So simple, so convenient. That's great. You get a couple more of these increasingly relied upon one by one brackets. The more sets that I look at for 2019, the more using that. This is going to become probably the most popular new piece in quite a number of years. It's just super useful. It's too bad it took them so long to create something like that. Other companies have done similar things for years and years and years, but overall, this is pretty good. We need stuff to work with it, and maybe some optional cutting heads would be nice. More of the standard. I don't know what you call the real style harvester, the threshers. I'm not a farmer myself, but yeah, some other options would be good. This is a great start though. The minifigures are two. The one on the left, I believe representing the truck driver in this case, and the one on the right is supposed to be the farmer. Although, of course, if you choose, you can just go ahead and just swap those rolls around, swap the heads between them if you want, swap the headgear between them if you want. But just in their default setup, I like the fact that the truck driver is younger and more groomed than kind of the stereotype that Lego usually portrays. And that's good. Just variety for the sake of variety. Not everyone who performs a particular role, who does a particular job, has the exact same style as all others. So that's nice, and I really like that torso print. It's very casual, and it just seems like regular people clothing. It is a little bit better detailed than stuff of the past. Like if you compare the torso on the left to the torso on the right, the one on the right just looks relatively primitive, mostly because of the lack of depth. There's no real depth that's attempted there with fabric folds or shading or anything, and all the lines on the one on the right are thicker than some of the ones on the left. So yeah, I appreciate that additional level of detail. It's not necessarily necessary, but it's cool. Can't complain. And yeah, the prints on the backs of both of these torsos are just fine. No alternate face for either of these. And then there's this scarecrow, which I think is just great. I like the head for that, and I like the build especially. You know, it makes use of the still relatively new modified 1x1 tile, or I guess you could consider it a modified style, but the one with the mini peg hole in the top of a small vertical bar that comes out of it. They've got two of those in red here, just connected right up to the body with the brick with stud on either side. And yeah, it's a simple build, but it looks really good. I don't know if this is the first time we've gotten this cross piece, this plate, in tan before, but I think it's a good color for that one. Pretty useful. And yeah, just a nice little thing. There's also some print on the back of that head, which is pretty well detailed. It's kind of a shame that in this particular use you don't see that print on the back, but you know, leave off the scarf piece or something. Maybe consider changing the hat, or just leave the hat off entirely. I like the head. These are the meager spare parts that are left over after you put this together. The most notable one, of course, is this, one of those special pieces in the red color, and you also get the scarf or neckerchief in black, which is a color that I don't think we've seen a lot of for a while at least. And of course, if you want to see the actual full build process itself, you can check out the build video that has been published over on my new build channel, and there's a link to that in the card in the side of this video, down in the pinned comment, and it'll also be there on the end screen after you're done with the review. So if I haven't said it 15 times by now in this one video, I'm personally not into farming equipment. I just never have been. I'm more interested in earth moving equipment, stuff that tends to be yellow in color and have scoops and buckets and scrapers and things like that. But after getting this in my hands, I get it. I totally get the appeal of this, and I honestly am looking forward to seeing more farming stuff. Hopefully they will do more farming stuff this year, because again, this is just a great start to kind of kicking that back off. They've definitely done some pretty good farm stuff in the past, and yeah, excellent. Hopefully this trailer can be used by some other vehicles. I didn't go and try to test it too much, but surely that can be used by some of the earth moving equipment that I mentioned that I like. You know, it's a pretty good design overall. I really don't have any complaints about this. Nothing about it is really bad. It's wrong. Like I said, this is a little bit awkward just in its appearance to me. It looks better in that photo there with the polarizer that was used, and probably some photoshopping to fill in some of that so you don't quite see the shape as well. But I mean, that's really just a tiny thing. Doesn't affect the play value whatsoever, and only minimally affects the display value. Like this, and the value overall, I think is very good. Price to part ratio is appropriate. Price to volume of stuff ratio is right where I would like to see it. Maybe even a little bit on the generous side. If they had asked for a little bit more money for this, I wouldn't have complained. So where it's at right now, I think is really good. Good deal, good all around, and I'm very satisfied in total. Thank you very much for watching. Again, if you want to check out the build, you can see that on my build channel, and there will be a link here in just a second, and I will talk to you again as soon as I can.